Forget what you know about the current Pokemon market, because unless you have a magical crystal ball, no one can predict what the end game is for what's going to happen with Pokemon cards at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of problems right now with the Pokemon hobby, and some problems are going to eventually go away, like stock availability issues and all that, right? Though some problems will be here to stay, and I'm going to reveal more on those problems throughout this video. Though we are dealing with the most insane Pokemon market and the most insane market movements, and Pokemon cards truly feel to be an unstoppable force. I mean, right now we are going through some of the most chaotic times in all other markets outside of the Pokemon world, yet Pokemon cards are staying resilient. I mean, isn't that pretty funny? Like, seriously, Pokemon cards, which are still globally associated to be a children's card game, are staying more resilient than many other forms of investment. Now, if you do watch my channel, you'll know that I'm very open with the fact that I love investing in Pokemon collectibles, but I never expect this to be any form of like a retirement income. The reason why I love investing in collectibles is really simple. It's because I understand them very well. So when I purchase Pokemon cards or sealed product, I never have any self-doubt. I mean, I've been collecting since I was 4 years old, and I've experienced so many different generations of TCGs and collecting, and I understand how much emotional connection a lot of these cards create for so many people, and because of that, I've become quite skilled at picking certain cards and understanding what inevitably causes some cards to rise in value and what causes some cards to never reach their potential. Though here's the thing, right? A question we are all wondering is, what is the end game for Pokemon collectibles and investing? Because is it just an endless loop of increasing forever and ever and ever? I mean, when does it kind of stop? Because that's kind of what it feels like right now, doesn't it? It seems like sealed product from the XY era are still climbing. The Sun and Moon era, prices are rising out of the realms of common sense, and Sword and Shield era is literally becoming out of reach for nearly every booster box. There's only a few sealed products you can still get at somewhat reasonable prices. And now even the early Scarlet and Violet sets like Paldea Evolved and Obsidian Flames and Paldean Fates are becoming wildly expensive. So I mean, when does it end? I think a lot of us wonder, what is the actual end game going to be? Because sure, I mean, they can keep rising in value, right? But there's something a lot of people are forgetting. Right now, who is buying the product and who is actually creating these core memories with Pokemon cards? Because if you think about it, right, nearly every release of Pokemon, even Evolving Skies and Pokemon 151, had a time when people could create core memories with these sets, meaning younger generation, kids, and just general collectors were able to secure product and experience the set. Now, I personally believe having a large cohort of people experiencing a set is the most important aspect of creating long-term value for collectibles. Though those core memories are not really taking place right now, because unless some kid or general collector is very fortunate, it's unlikely they were even able to get prismatic evolutions. And with the current state of things, it seems a whole generation of people will miss out on Journey Together, and unless some drastic change happens, it also could be another whole generation that misses out on Destined Rivals and so on and so forth. And because of this, I personally believe this is one of the greater threats to the hobby, because you are getting a mix of, high-end investors, scalpers, and hype beasts who are hoarding these products, and the general public is not actually able to experience the set and just enjoy it. And what a lot of people don't realize is this will eventually backfire, because when no one can get product, it becomes less exciting to be involved in the hobby. Like, I think it's important that a lot of us creators in the space also be pretty real and recognize our impact on the general market. I mean, whenever I make a video, I understand there's a chance it could have an impact on the perception of certain cards. Now, there's no real way to track or gauge this, but collectively, all of us in the YouTube space impact this, because collectibles are so tight-knit. And what I mean about this, right? If someone is heavy into Pokemon collecting or Pokemon investing, it's a hobby they just genuinely enjoy, so it's very likely they consume a lot of content about these topics. Like, a channel like mine gets a decent amount of views for my subscribers. I have a pretty strong engagement rate, whereas a lot of other channels in other niches with my subscriber count probably wouldn't get as high a view count, because it's not topics that people always want updates on, whereas Pokemon collecting and investing is a discussion and focal point people always want the latest information on. As the person who really loves collecting Pokemon Pokemon cards really enjoys it as a hobby. And a hobby means you consume this content because it's fun and enjoyable. But I mean, I've got to be real, there's no way that I would deny that my videos don't have some impact. Maybe if I say I really love a card, or if I feel a card is underrated, there's always a chance that some people could agree. I mean, I don't know if it happens, but I think denying that or trying to act like we're not all part of the problem is pretty tone deaf. So I mean, when you're consuming my content or any other content in this space, definitely play at your own pace because it's a very expensive hobby. And if it makes you feel any better, literally for the last few months, I haven't bought nearly any Pokemon cards or products. It's just far too expensive right now. And I don't feel the need, as I feel the market is just way too inflated and completely out of control. And I feel there's no point for me to use my hard-earned money to buy products when I need to pay nearly double retail price just to open some packs. So I mean, if I can provide any pointers to you right now, don't feel bad if you're missing out or if you've decided to take a pause. I mean, if I'm being real, right now it's a spectator sport because I'm hoping that some of these new hype beasts who have entered and this whole new influx of Pokemon TCG Pocket fans eventually kind of level out. Because, I mean, there's a few scenarios that can play out which can have a huge impact on price reductions on the market. Though before I showcase the scenarios, I'd just like to say if you have been enjoying the video, please feel free to give it a like, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date within the Pokemon TCG world. Now, in terms of the scenarios for a market pullback, there's a few. But number one is that the newfound demand from Pokemon TCG Pocket slowly dies down and the baseline level of collectors returns to somewhat manageable levels. Number two is Pokemon ups the printing demand to meet the newfound players and collectors entering, and we get far more product. So much new product that it becomes pointless for scalpers to try hoard them and try resell them. Now, number three is extended reprints from previous sets, which is where the reprint window extends so much that the general confidence of the market falls down, which I'm going to explain in more detail in just a second. And finally, number four, which is something which I call the awakening, where a lot of people wake up to the fact that they've been overpaying for a lot of cards. And this awakening actually has happened previously in 2021 with damaged vintage cards, which I'm also going to go over in detail. Okay, so let's go over the first point, which is that the newfound demand from Pokemon TCG Pocket naturally dies down. Now, this is actually a likely scenario as we are in a momentum spike, which is very much drawn from Pokemon TCG Pocket. If we look at Google Trends for Pokemon cards, you can see when Pokemon TCG Pocket released, which was around November of 2024, you can see how much more search volume entered for Pokemon cards. Now, naturally, a lot of these digital collectors moved onto the physical TCG and a huge influx of collectors entered, which literally made the current market supply not be able to keep up with the demand. Now, just as quickly as all this hype entered, it can also leave the same way. And when it does, it can have some serious consequences because the prices you're seeing and paying for right now have a lot to do with inexperienced collectors as they're coming in with fresh new eyes and they just buy whatever they feel, which can cause problems as the buyer market is only what collectors are willing to pay at that time. Now, as I'm saying this, if you are new to the hobby, what's really important if you love investing in collectibles and Pokemon is to understand what's changing with the current market. And a great way to stay up to date is through my channel's official Discord server. Within the Discord, you can actually ask questions and even showcase your collection. Feel free to join. The server invite is in the description of this video. Now, number two is Pokemon ups the printing and supply to meet the new market demand. Now, this one is challenging for a few reasons. Firstly, at the moment, scalpers right now have no reason not to purchase as many products as they can afford. Because literally, if you buy any Pokemon products right now for retail price, there's absolutely no reason not to buy them as the reseller market is so hot and you can literally close to double your money just by listing it for sale immediately. Now, because of this, Pokemon is actually really struggling because even if they up printing demand, it's likely the scalpers will just buy it up because it's in this kind of really vicious cycle. Because previously, a heavy collector would buy maybe a case and a few booster boxes, but now you literally have people who will max out their credit cards trying to buy as many cases as they can. I think the way Pokemon could fix this though is by increasing supply so much that these scalpers lose money by reselling, and once money is lost by hoarding dropping products, it will slowly stop the behavior. The only reason this works so well right now is because how much market demand there is for immediate reselling, though this could cause a market shift if scalpers sell at a loss. Now, number 3 is extended reprint windows. Now, right now in the Pokemon community, we all have huge confidence that Pokemon don't reprint sets that are like 3 years old. That's generally a rule within the investing community. If a set is approaching like 3 years old, the market has almost priced it in that it won't receive a reprint. Now, this isn't official, it's just what a lot of people are aware of. However, if reprint windows are extended and become less predictable, this can also cause problems, as reprints have always caused massive price reductions in sealed product and in singles. So by extending reprint windows, it could make the market react and help prices come down. Now, the final part is what I like to call the awakening, which I personally believe is my favorite, and this will cause a huge price reduction. The awakening is when the scalpers and the newcomers who've been overpaying finally realize what they've purchased, meaning the crazy prices of these illustration rares and the huge and unsustainable prices of PSA 10 cards all come crashing down, and a mentality shift happens. They've almost awoken from what they've done. Now, if you think this can't happen, it actually already has, because this happened during the 2020 and the 2021 vintage boom, where people were buying light played and straight up damaged vintage cards because they wanted to have some skin in the game. Though this actually caused some major problems, as when they woke up to the fact that they overpaid and wanted to sell, everyone who bought those cards realized that there wasn't really a buyer market available after the boom kind of finished, and they would need to sell those cards at a huge loss. All these aspects can cause a strong market correction, and I personally feel we will see market corrections take place as more people leave the hobby, along with more supply happening, and a lot of the newcomers get more educated in the world of collectibles and realize what's a smart play and what's a naive play. Because I know this new hype is primarily driven by the fact of Pokemon TCG Pocket, along with the fact that the Scarlet and Violet era has gotten far better in quality, so it's almost like a perfect storm. Though as much as these things can happen, it's very important to educate yourself when Pokemon market crashes, because they have happened before and there is a specific reason why they play out. And right now, I currently think that the market will crash sooner than expected, and I explain that in detail within this video here. Within this video on screen, I actually talk about market crashes and why I think it's a likely scenario to happen, and it's just a matter of time. If you're interested in that video, click the video that's appearing on screen and you can learn more about it there. I'll see you there.